meeting tonight. Dick, I have you on at 6:30, but could we just do John for 2 seconds? John, why don't you come up so you can stay or take off if you choose.
I come before the board tonight, as you're aware, in October of 2013. Kurt Gilmore resigned as a full-time police officer. Currently, there are 8 full-time police officers within the town of Deerfield. One of those positions is vacant. The board has been briefed all along by email that the position was posted in effect for 2 weeks. We went through a series of interviews and background checks. Conditional offer of employment was issued to Garrett Dana, successfully passing the background, psychological exam, medical, and being full-time academy trained. So I'm here tonight respectfully requesting the board appoint Garrett Dana as a full-time police officer with the town of Deerfield. Down bottom it says grade level 1, step 2, which is $19.83 an hour, and it details out the reasons why.
Just for our audience, can you just give a little bit?
Sure.
Garrett has been a part-time police officer.
Yeah, Garrett's been with us just about a year and a half now. He was a self-sponsor through the police academy, which ultimately saves the town about $35,000, near $38,000 if we were to send a recruit through the academy. That basically means he's paid his own way. He has not collected any wages to go through the academy. He is a certified EMT. He's been certified through the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy. He has an associate's degree and several other certifications. So I think he'd be a tremendous resource to the town of Deerfield.
I have met him, and I think I agree. Do you have any questions, Dave?
I don't. It's just, the only concern I have, and it has nothing to do with this right now, but it's just with the hiring practices within the town. I'm a believer that the town administrator should be involved with those. Mm-hmm. Just for an oversight to make sure there's consistency in hiring and firing. So, but that's not something that's really in place well. So, in the future, that's something that we'd be open to look at. Mm-hmm. So, and no reflection. You did a very good job on the screening and everything here, and you did keep the select board abreast of every step that you were going through. So, I'm happy with that. And,
then I'll entertain a motion to. Appoint Garrett?
I'll second that.
Oh, okay. I was going to have you make the motion. I was going to second, but
Fix one, half dozen the other.
I make the motion, and you're going to second. Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can you make that a unanimous, please? Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
I'm very happy that we have such a qualified person and a nice person. It's nice to have.
I'm happy we don't have to send somebody through the academy because it saved us $38,000.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have someone
And you
so
actually
qualified.
had 3 people.
Yeah. We still got 2 more in the wings.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. I know.
That are
That's
both
good.
phenomenal. Yeah.
It is good.
Anything else while I'm in?
You're going to be gone?
You're on vacation.
Yeah, I'm gone from the 21st to 28th. Yep, but I'll send an email out to department heads, board of selectmen, superintendent of schools, principals.
This is going to be the OIC.
Harry Ruddick.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, and I'll provide his and Mike Krasuski's cell phone numbers. So if there's any problems, you can reach either one of them 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Quick, simple,
Nice
and easy.
evening.
Thanks, Nick.
Have a good evening.
Dick, thank you for.
Hopefully the car will be done tomorrow.
Thank you.
Highway ran into a problem with the plow truck, so they had to pull him off with the frame. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you still should have left the push bumper on.
No, John, Dick doesn't need any encouragement. Thank you, John. Dick, thank you for letting John go ahead on a quick thing.
I'm only here for a couple of reasons. One is tobacco issues, regulations, and the other one, and a couple other issues that I'll discuss.
Okay.
Go ahead. Briefly, we've got our new tobacco regulations for smoking in the workplace and public places that been voted on, approved. Everybody signed it off as of January 4th. And we have the sale of tobacco products and the regulations for that. And
You might want to point out the new definition includes nicotine delivery devices.
Yep. And that includes, for people who don't know what that is, that's the electronic cigarettes, okay? And I just recently found out from watching TV, that the state of Massachusetts is not cigarette taxing electronic cigarettes at this point, so they will become a cheaper item than cigarettes to buy. So we're probably going to have an influx of kids that are trying to get a hold of those.
I'm not sure what we should do about that, but I can't imagine that the state isn't going to start taxing that pretty soon. So actually, we'll bring it up at the MMA thing.
So I don't know if there's much more to say about the regulations that I'm probably going to have to go around to every single person personally and go over these regulations with all our, and there's only like 8 of them, Wendy?
I think that's what I heard.
I think there's 8 of them. And I'll just go around to the establishments that are selling them.
7, I think there's one less.
There's one less. We're down to 7. We lost one this January 1st.
Retail. Mart? Quick Mart? What is it?
No, the market.
Suzatex?
The
Market right here.
market right on the corner.
The old Suzatex market.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't got the name of it, but they're out of business by the end of this month. They've given up their lottery, they've given up their liquor license, and they've given up their tobacco license, I believe. So when somebody replaces them, there's a couple people interested. We'll go from there. But guess I'll go around doing a little educational program with this. Yes.
I want to say one thing about these. This is a long time in coming. I know you've worked on this way before my time. We still have our bylaws that are weaker than these, that are on the books. But apparently, the strength of a Board of Health regulation is, in the hierarchy of law, is stronger than a bylaw, so we can affect these. But you still do need to repeal those and get those off the books. So at the annual meeting, you should be sure to do that.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Thank you. I forgot that.
Yep.
Now I have a second issue relating to the tobacco thing.
Keeps you. Okay.
And as you're probably not aware, Dave, but we signed up for a tobacco coalition that's regulated. The grant was given, and it's being run by the Hampshire COG and was put out to bid, and South Hadley Board of Health is monitoring that. Well, since they've been doing that, we've had incidences that were signs that it was not well organized. The first incident we had was they ticketed the wrong gas station for a violation, almost cost somebody a job. I spent several hours and days resolving the problem, and the only way that got resolved was there were no male employees employed at the station at the time. It was only female. So we got over that one. The second issue was...
Which was luck.
Yes,
Because
pure luck. Or they would have, employee would have got fired.
The employee
So
would have lost their job.
the second issue became on another convenience store that they cited the wrong person or the wrong place. They had the wrong numbers. They appealed it to court, the housing court, and they lost the appeal. These are all done in the name of the Deerfield Board of Health. Now I have a third issue that's come up in town where I reviewed the videotape of the tobacco sting. I was not happy with it. I told the store to file an appeal because the person that supposedly sold the minor cigarettes is an older person, 5-year employee, and if the store gets fined, he automatically loses his job. Now I have the paperwork where they went to the court to ask for an extension. And if you would just read the red line down the bottom, and with that,
This is typical.
this is a typical example of poor paperwork. I'm going to ask that the board do one of two things. I'm going to ask that they withdraw from this coalition entirely, or I'm going to ask that the board suspend any activity from that coalition until we have control of it and we know what's going on. Because this has continued, and it's not being run very well, in my opinion.
And I had some problems as well with mixed communication, all that.
Did,
It seems to
when
me-
did we approve this coalition?
2 years ago.
What happened
Oh,
is.
okay.
What happened
I
is.
was going to say, I'm
the-
having a brain cramp since we passed the
No.
regulations of
No.
approving
What
this,
happened is, the tobacco money is pretty much run out from the
Yep.
cigarette companies. Because you had all these people across the state that were employed by the DPH to do tobacco intervention and all that kind of stuff. So what little money is left is they've parceled out. And they still want us to do compliance checks, which I have no problem authorizing. But this is supposed to be, so what we did is we banded, all of our little towns banded together and supported this compliance check person. They're supposed to go around and do compliance checks. But the problem is that when Dick and I first had an issue with them, number one, they wouldn't even talk to us. Number two, they wouldn't tell us when they were in town because we were trying to verify some of this confusion on other stings that have gone wrong or complaints from, and they're not reliable, so that we wanted them to let us know when they were in town so we could verify where they were and what time they were, because, again, this was, you're talking about people's jobs. I mean, it's done in our name, so it's really serious. And we want to come down hard on real violators, but on the other hand, if they're ticketing, in Whately and naming a Deerfield, location, that's that's a horrible thing. And like I said, we were just lucky on a couple of these that we, investigated. Dick investigated, and a woman versus a man and all that kind of stuff.
what would Plan B be for compliance?
Plan B would be to get in touch with Charlie Kinnicky on the state level and find out where we can go from there and team up with somebody else to continue it.
I was just going to say.
Or I'll have to organize it myself and continue it myself. It's not an extremely time-consuming, but when I first got involved with these people a little over a year ago, they refused to give me any information. And I was like, I need to know. I mean, I know when you're coming into town who's doing what. And because...
This is after us going to meetings with them.
And this is after we had the police department involved because they went into stores representing themselves as whatever. So now they've changed their modus operandum where they don't go into the store and they don't get the name of the person, or they don't go in and show a badge or identification that says, we were just in here and you sold something to a minor, and inform them right up front. They do it by mail, and this paperwork is a typical example of what happens. As you can see, there's 2 errors in this paper.
Yeah.
They've made it twice, and we're headed for a 3rd time. And it's extremely time-consuming on my part and staff in this building's part.
Now, what's the legal ramifications on us voting to withdraw from that? Is there any, so we can technically vote to withdraw from it?
Suggest another thing, which is possibly inviting them, because
Well-
I noticed something. Another issue that we had is we're giving the rules out as we renew the permits. And then I take a closer look at the rules, and it requires all kinds of tracking that we had created our own form. But if they were really doing their job, if I were doing that job, I would have given my client, this town, a tracking form. I would have given them all the documentation. I would have done a little training for us. So we did email them and asked them about that, and they said they'd be willing to do that. But it seems to me I would give them an opportunity, or if there's a meeting if there's an advisory board of some sort to go to about
See,
this.
I'm not a very forgiving person. And from the statements that Dick has made, as far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't be in town, period.
Well,
Because they're not representing the town in a
Professional manner.
the other issue...
And it's a
you're right,
reflection
Dave.
on the town itself.
Yeah.
And, yes, we want to make sure that minors are not getting the cigarettes and everything like that. but we cannot be punitive against people that aren't doing anything wrong.
The other issue is, in a year and a half or longer, they've never given us one single report in writing that says we went to 10 places
We
and
should be getting reports.
9 of them passed and 1 of them didn't.
Right.
And one of the places that got ticketed was the market that just went out of business. They just got ticketed a second offense. And supposedly they went in there and did an education training with the market so they wouldn't do this. And 2 months later, they're back in the soup again. So I don't know how effective their so-called training is. And I now get a phone call when they're in town, but I don't get any reports, nothing. And it just
Dave, we
consumes
have-
so much of my time.
We have gone to.
I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying, it's...
It's consumed so much of my time in the last
It's
year and a half.
unfortunate, but, sometimes when you get enforcement like this, sometimes you get a certain arrogance with the people that are doing the enforcement, and, we don't want to be like that, I don't think. It's...
Well, we've indicated our dissatisfaction. I mean,
Yeah.
with the slipshod paperwork
Yeah.
and the fact that we want to have real penalties, but people are going to lose their jobs with these.
Right.
With this, and it needs to have documentation that we can stand behind. So,
Right.
When I go to this court hearing, I am taking it as my position at this court hearing will be I'm going to ask the judge to, because I've reviewed the videotape in the store and this document that I just gave you, I'm going to ask the judge to throw it out because this guy's going to lose his job, and I don't think it's justified. I don't think their methods and tactics that they're using for these things, to me, I would have sold cigarettes to the minor. I mean, that's how difficult it was to distinguish this. The guy actually showed an ID. I have no idea. There's no copy of the ID attached to this to show the age or the date or if it's a false ID or a real ID. Nothing. And it's just, I would just like to either suspend this until we can figure out what to do with it or withdraw completely.
I'd like to make a motion we suspend it until we have further discussion of how our activities.
I'd like to have a letter sent out to this coalition that we're temporarily suspending this until further notice.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, and I will go to every tobacco license on my regular rounds because I have other reasons to stop in there for health inspections. And I'll make sure that this is looked into, and in the meantime, like Wendy has stated, I have forgotten that it needs to be removed from the town meeting. From our
bylaws.
I know, I
bylaws,
remembered,
yeah.
I remembered. But, Dick, when you go, would you tell them that we are in fact going to do enforcement? It's just, at the moment, we're not doing it through the coalition, so that they don't.
And I'll tell you how silly the enforcement can be. How silly it can be is that somebody at one store comes in and they know it's a tobacco sting. They call another store who calls another store.
I know,
And so it's
I know.
difficult for those people. I have another thing I just got it today that I just want to bring up is Title V code for septic systems is changing quite a bit. And what's happening is the state is turning over to the town items that they previously took care of for review. And so we will be seeing an increase in the workload for the Title V scenario because any tight tanks, any special sand recirculating filter type systems, and the raise system type stuff.
Do you know how
that-
many we have in town right now, Dick?
Don't have a clue, but
Do you need training, more training?
no.
Okay.
I'm well versed in all this. All I'm telling you is that
More
we're going to
work.
get dumped some of these things
I know.
that they're going to have to come back to the board. Tight tank approval, for example, meaning that they don't have a leach field, can't have a leach field.
I wonder if this is a Prop 2.5 mandate issue that we could claim with the, you know what I mean? Mandates are
Well, we're going to
reimbursable
have
from
to
the
we don't
state.
have fees for this, so we'll have to have
Yeah.
generate
So-
some kind of fee schedule.
I am going
But
to,
it could be extended hours for
Yeah.
whoever's doing it.
yeah,
And so that could be a cost to the town.
some of it's going to have to come back to the board, because when it comes to a tight tank scenario, that means the tank's got to be pumped on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, and I'm going to bring those back to the board, every single one of them, before it's approved, because if there's an alternative way to correct the problem, I don't think we should be issuing those.
No, because
And
who's going to do the monitoring
That's what you just did
of the
with Greg.
maintenance?
Yes, that's a
So-
temporary scenario,
Yeah.
and I made him jump through the hoops, and it's got to be removed after a certain time.
Well, it's the
And-
monitoring of the, the maintenance is going to be an issue.
Well, I want to bring those to the board for the specific reason, if somebody comes in and they said, you did it for this guy, you now have to do it for me, well, the board is going to, I want the board to rule on extenuating circumstances for doing that.
Yep,
I don't want it that you don't know about it.
okay.
Yep.
So,
Thank you, Dick.
Okay.
and there's other stuff in here, but I will get more when I go to some more of my programs that are coming up shortly for this.
Can you just report on your animal inspections? I don't want you
Oh.
to forget that.
Last item. I do an annual animal inspector animal count in the town of Deerfield for all known animals that I go around checking for. The only pigs in the town of Deerfield kept on a long-term yearly basis that are there for count in December when I did the count is Stanley Romanowski. He has 5. Everyone else who had or has temporary or seasonal, I'll call it, personal consumption, they're gone. They went to slaughter, okay? So I'm going to say that the only person in the town of Deerfield who has pigs 12 months of the year is Stanley. And you asked me a few months ago to report on pig farming activities, and with the idea of the yearly annual inspection. If you make other people do an annual inspection, it will not fall when they have pigs.
I'd like to ask Priscilla to make a note to put in Stanley Romanowski's file that you have done the annual animal inspections, and there are no other existing pigs in town except Stanley's.
And that is a state-required
Can
inspection.
we have a copy of your report?
No, that's confidential.
The state copy
Put in the file.
is held confidential.
It's confidential.
Because it's done under the emergency preparedness program.
Okay.
I have copies, I have retained copies, and I don't know if it can be distributed.
No, it
Okay.
can't. It can't. It's confidential with the Department of
It's,
Agriculture,
Okay. Maybe just put
It's
something in
for-
the-
so that people will
All right.
actually report.
infectious disease of animals and
I thought it was a
for terrorist stuff.
long-standing
It comes
annual
under the,
requirement to
Oh,
do.
Homeland
it is.
Security?
Homeland
It is
Security.
required,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it,
Kind of-
it-
But
it's.
preceded all the emergency.
But what you're trying to do is get people to give you the, allow you on your property. So the idea is that it's confidential.
Okay.
So that, and that's why we wanted Dick to do the inspection of all the known animals in town.
And the last item that I have is our animal officer, who you appointed a few months ago. I have to report that he's doing an excellent job. I've had several animal complaints. He's taken care of them. He has a logbook. He has them all logged in, so anytime the board needs to know. He's handled dog bites. He's handled all kinds of animal problems. One in particular, which is I find kind of humorous, is someone tied a Rottweiler to the door of a veterinarian's building, and when they came to work, they couldn't get in the building. He walked over, took the Rottweiler off the door, and that was it. He took a vicious dog from someplace else that had done a dog bite, and he couldn't take it to the shelter, so he took it home with him to take till he could bring it to the shelter. He had a photograph of the dog laying on his living room floor covered with a blanket. I can't believe the man is he's an animal man. And
A lot of ACOs are.
I can't say enough about him. He's doing a great job for us.
He is doing a great job. Now, my only concern is are our hours, because this was just our agreement with Montague and Greenfield was.
They're working out fine.
So he has adequate hours?
Yep, he's
Okay,
working out
perfect.
very fine. He checks in with the police department every often. They all have his numbers. I have his numbers. He's on duty 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Well, I have to say, I have not had one, since he started, I have not had one single animal call, so I am thrilled to death.
Thank you for getting him, because
Thrilled.
he's done a great
And,
job.
just on a side note on that, I was actually asked today if the town of Deerfield has any property because they're thinking about closing the shelter in Montague, and they want to move it somewhere.
Well, you have several pieces of property that I could see. You've got Rora's property, number one. Number two, you've got, for isolated, you have a Stillwater Road lot that's vacant, that's just north of Romanowski's. You've got a 1 acre lot there. So you've got several pieces of property that could be isolated enough, for concerns about barking of animals and stuff. Yeah. So, I think it would be great, because I think we're well getting our share of the animal guy. Yeah.
Well, the animal inspector person is, that we pay with Greenfield and Montague on that.
Yeah,
The
that's what I'm
regional-
talking about.
The regional animal kennel that Dave is talking about is through the sheriff's department. And
That
it's
still would be a
housed-
good deal.
Yeah.
I
So-
still think we have plenty of places that could go. Yeah, I would encourage that.
Yeah. We pay for about $1,400, and if everybody chipped in, we could, if we all figured out a way to do it.
Well, if you remember, out back here was the original
I know.
keep the dog over.
But you have to
here.
meet all kinds of codes and all kinds of stuff, so if
I
we could
think
get a
I think it's
grant,
an excellent idea, and
if we could
I
get a
think
grant to
we should
build it.
pursue
The old town garage?
No,
I
no, we
think-
got other things to go.
I think they applied, the COG did apply on their behalf for CIC
The
money.
old town garage.
Yes, not the new one.
To
Yeah,
work
just
on that.
fix that up and,
project,
yeah,
the
you're
building.
right.
No, that's prime real estate, Dick. We're going to do it somewhere else. Don't even think about it. We're taking down the old town garage.
Is there anything else you'd like from me before I go home?
No,
Talk
no,
about
no.
your office or anything?
Talk about what?
Your office and any of that right now?
2 weeks from now.
Okay.
In 2 weeks, I'll come back with a proposal for some changes that Wendy and I have discussed about our office and office procedures. I'm not really 100% prepared to talk about it tonight,
Okay.
but we need to make some changes dealing with you're familiar with ISO insurance audit for the town?
Yeah.
They come through. Well, we're on their
Well, we have a window.
We're on their
Dick.
blacklist right now, and I'm
Dick,
trying
we
to
have a
fix it.
window to fix it, and we're going to fix it,
And
so
I'll
that
come in
nobody's
next week.
homeowners' rates
In
will
2
go
weeks, I'll
up.
come in with a proposal to get that changed,
Okay.
so we don't get our insurance rates
Otherwise, our
adjusted up.
insurance, everyone's homeowners' rates will go up to 20 or 30%.
Well, I'm thinking of the highway garage and town property, so the new highway garage, the insurance premium could
Oh,
get raised up considerably, and I'm
well,
concerned
every
about that.
every single person that has property in town will bear the brunt of that. So we're going to get it fixed.
So I'll be in with a proposal in 2 weeks to do that. And what else did you want me to do, Wendy, on your?
I just thought you wanted to bring that up, just the whole consolidation of the services, but you'll be back with that. We don't have to talk about it
The
now.
third person's not here, so it's probably,
Right. Okay.
I'd have to go over all that again.
We have a hearing at 7 anyway, so.
Yeah, and it's 7
Good
o'clock.
timing.
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you, Dick.
Okay.
See you later.
Have a good evening.
Hi. We have, at 7 o'clock, we have Primo's liquor license change of manager, and at 7:15, Primo's liquor license change of hours. Okay. Why don't you, are you all here? All of you here? Okay. Then I'll read the notice here. Notice is hereby given in accordance with provisions under the Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, that the Board of Selectmen, acting as the local licensing authority, will hold a public hearing on the application for a change of manager of Section 12 all alcoholic on-premise pouring license exercised by Primo Pizzeria Restaurant, doing business as Primo Restaurant and Pizzeria, with William Schilhart? Swihart as manager at 4B Sugarloaf Street, South Deerfield, Mass. The licensed premises consists of a single-floor dining area with entrance-exit, adjacent dining bar area with storage entrance-exit, restrooms, kitchen, prep area with access to basement and rear emergency exit. The public hearing will be convened on Wednesday, January 15th, 2014, at 7 p.m. in the main meeting room of the municipal offices at 8 Conway Street, South Deerfield, Mass. Okay, why don't you come on up?
How we doing?
Good. Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name's William Swihart. I'm from Primos.
Okay. So you are, this is for a change of manager, so are you going to be the new manager?
I'm already the acting manager. We're just going through the process of changing over everything on paper.
Oh, okay. All right. And could you give us a little background of why you're doing this or what's happening? Why this?
Certainly. Let me take off my jacket here. Primos, when I got over there, I've been in the restaurant industry for the last 12 years, from Maine to San Diego. This is one of the first times that I've actually gotten to reboot and redo everything from the ground up. I've let go a lot of staff. I've brought in new staff. I'm trying to make it into a family-oriented restaurant, dine-in. Most of our business is actually pick-up, takeout. I'm sure all of you guys have tried Primos in the last few months. It's been a good growth of business. I'm just trying to get it so that with the liquor license that we have and the growth that I have now, I can actually continue on throughout this new year, staying open till 1, just because I've had to ask people to leave during the playoffs for, the Red Sox at 10 o'clock in the middle of a game, to asking someone to leave. It's it's not a fun thing to do.
So you have all the training?
Yes.
ABCC training?
Yep.
Okay. David, do you have any questions?
I don't. That's,
Well, great. I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
okay. Move we approve the application to have William appointed as manager of the Primos restaurant.
I second that. Is there any further discussion?
No?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can you make that unanimous? Do we need to close this hearing and have this a new hearing, or can we do a continuation?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're separate.
We tried to keep it short. We weren't sure exactly how much time it was going to
Yep.
take. They're two separate items according to the matrix. on
And
ABCC.
they need to sign both these forms.
They're actually, the Form 43 shows both those items. You only have to sign one Form 43.
Okay.
If you sign two of them, it helps me. I keep the original.
Okay.
It was published at 7:15, so we have to wait till 7:15? Okay. Sorry, can you just sit here for a few more minutes?
I'm not bashful. I don't mind staying with you guys.
Okay. All right, let's see. We can go back and do the
There's
minute.
and there's also, well, I don't have minutes. If you
Oh.
recall, it was
Oh,
the 5-hour
yes,
meeting,
yes.
which we found out
Yes.
there was no audio, and I
Oh,
will be
yeah.
working on that at some point. I have these general permit applications to sign.
Okay.
There should be a casing for me today. We probably should keep it as a regular item. That hasn't happened while I've been here, but this apparently happens all throughout the year, so if you want to read
Okay.
those.
We have annual renewal permits. These are our regular renewals?
Those are your regular
Okay.
renewals. They usually we have a flurry in the first 3 months of the year.
Okay,
One is not checked off, you will notice on the right. So
right. So we probably shouldn't do them.
you can do all of those, but the one not checked off, correct? Douglas,
There's no fee collected, so we probably,
Oh, it's probably clerical on my part. 'Cause
okay.
Douglas did, I saw the check.
Oh, okay. All right.
as well check
I'll
that.
just check it. I'll just check it. Okay. And no issues with any.
No, these are
Okay.
regular renewals.
Okay, do you have your list, Dave? Or do you
Yeah.
want to see it?
I think they're in the folders. If not, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I didn't have one.
No, that's okay. I have a list in my folder. So I make a motion that we approve those as listed for annual renewals. If you have any questions on that, Dave, I think mine are here somewhere. I saw them earlier.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
I will hand them over to you.
We can stamp those?
Can you stamp them? Okay, then we don't even need to sign them. Not any one of these, right? All right. So the workers' workers' comp, you just got that? Okay. All right. Fine. What else do we have here? We have the warrant. Do you have the warrant?
Yes, here it is.
Okay. Here you go, Dave.
And you could stamp that, too.
Yeah, we can stamp that too. Sorry to make you wait.
No worries. It's an open meeting law. You got to do everything by the book, so.
Well, I don't want anyone to come back and say it was not
Exactly.
done properly.
Nope.
Sorry, Dave. I'm almost done.
Wendy, will we get a report from Brenda or Sean at some point in time, the impact of the last storms on the budget?
I had heard from Sean that we're our salt, we're about ready to go over our salt budget. And if the storms number of storms continue, then we'll run into some trouble with our contract.
So
But, otherwise,
theoretically, you should be reporting it to the board,
yeah.
so that,
I don't think there's, at this point, there's not anything yet.
okay.
But it's getting close. couple more minutes. Okay. We could probably do the energy
Yep.
contract. What do you think?
Yes.
We have time to do that.
Yes. So this is, we've been getting the electricity through Hampshire Council of Governments. I think you have some of that information in your folder.
Yeah.
I have the email letter that was sent. They are now proposing, rather than stay with what was it called? What was the old electricity? It's now going to recommending that we do a fixed-priced electricity contract. So
What do you
that's what I
think?
have here.
What do you think?
I agree. I don't think we have another option, and they are watching the markets. They've been in the business long enough.
I feel
to
like
know.
I was just going to say, I feel like they've really tried to adjust every time
Right.
the situation changes. They come to us to change.
Yeah, and this is not, like last time they were here, it was about the municipal-wide. This is just for our, town-wide, this is just for our municipal. And we were in the real-time program at some point, and now they're moving everyone out of that because of it's not advantageous price-wise. So I think I'm having you sign two, although you only need to sign one, but we'll keep one. So.
Dave, do you have any questions do you want on this? 'Cause I just...
Do we know what the rate is?
No.
Kilowatt?
Right now, it's going to be fixed at 9.9 cents. A little over 9 cents.
No, is that transmission or is that for the power?
Kilowatt.
That's,
Both?
This right here is what, the fixed price is what we're paying right now.
Mhm.
What they're want to switch us to is the 4 cents, the real time.
no, it's the other way around.
Oh, it's the other way.
Yeah,
Okay, so we want to go for the
from real time to
Time.
everyone's going to fixed price.
fixed price, because the real time is the 4 cents plus you're talking about the supplier rate, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So that's more expensive than the 9 cents. Is that correct?
Typically.
I think so.
Seems to make sense.
I think we're around 13 in this area right now,
Yeah,
so.
okay. So I don't really have any questions, because
No.
they've been experts on this, and we went to quite a few meetings in the beginning, and they seem to be so competent. They're a lot more competent than we would ever be, because we don't pay attention.
We don't follow the market. Well, maybe you do. There are other options. There's the MMA has a program. I'm sure you'll see their table at the conference.
But so far, they've been more expensive.
Yeah. And I think Pioneer Valley, Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative runs a program. I don't think they do electricity. I think it's all fuel.
Well, then I
That's
make a
another
motion that we make a change.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Make that unanimous. Okay.
7:15.
7:15, okay. Sorry to make you wait.
That's
Oh,
okay.
we need to sign this.
Yeah.
2 seconds. And then we can give this back to Wendy. Okay, let me read the hearing notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, that the Board of Selectmen, acting as a local licensing authority, will hold a public hearing on an application for the change of hours of Section 12, all alcoholic on-premise pouring license exercised by Primo Pizzeria Restaurant, doing business as Primo Restaurant and Pizzeria at 4B Sugarloaf Street, South Deerfield, Mass. The licensed premises consist of a single-floor dining area with an entrance and exit, adjacent dining bar area with storage entrance and exit, restrooms, kitchen prep area with access to basement and rear emergency exit. Public hearing will be convened on Wednesday, January 15th, 2014, at 7 p.m. in the main meeting room of the municipal offices, 8 Conway Street, South Deerfield, Mass. Okay. You can tell us about why you were just changing the hours, even though you had already stated that, but this
No
is a
worries.
new public hearing.
That's all the same for me. And I like to talk, so it's okay. I'd like to actually do two things for it. Is I would like to be able to stay open until 1 in the evening because you get more business. Everything will be fine for growth, and it'll be able to actually be a restaurant, bar for sports and get people in there. The other thing that I'd like to do is be able to open up earlier in the morning because I'd like to offer a Sunday brunch because we have, I think, 4 or 5 churches in this area, and it's a large group of people that would be able to go out and grab brunch.
Okay, so what were your requests for Sunday brunch?
Sunday would be just opening up at 10. I'm not.
10 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and staying open till 1 a.m.
Yep.
during Monday through
Yes,
Saturday?
that's correct.
Okay.
It's not likely that I'm going to be staying open to 1 every day, but I want to find out what days work, what days don't, and just basic business sense stuff.
Like what happens when you have a football game on Sundays?
What do you mean?
Well, like aren't the playoffs or something on Sundays?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
like,
know.
no, like,
Yes, I do happen to.
but I mean, like, I'm not understanding what your question is. Like,
Oh.
do I have people there and everything?
No, because what are your closing hours on Sunday?
Every day of the week right now, as it stands, we're from 11 to 10.
Okay, so you think 10 is adequate for Sunday?
I would like to every day stay open till 1 if I
Oh, okay,
if I
so
want
it's
to.
not Monday through Saturday, it's it's 7 days a week?
Yes.
Okay. I don't really have a problem as long as we don't have any issues. This is the beginning of the year. We renew the licenses, and if there's issues, obviously, we'll work with the police department and have you come in and stuff like that. So
Not a problem.
I
I don't
would
foresee
rather-
issues,
Yeah.
thankfully, so.
okay.
Now, would you have a full bar on Sunday mornings or just mimosas and Bloody Mary?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, most places for brunches, like for the last 4 years, I've lived and worked in Amherst. I've done the Amherst pub, and I kind of want to follow their sensibilities for it. They did like mimosas. It was a full bar, basically, but the average person was just ordering Bloody Marys, mimosas. Very seldom would you get anything else because it's not like a brunch type thing. And with a Bloody Mary, you'd actually have to have a full liquor license anyways because it's going into the hard liquor and,
Well, you can have restrictions on just those two
okay,
on Sunday mornings.
fair enough. But we'd also have other breakfast drinks, probably like, orange juice and vodka or grapefruit juice, stuff like that.
It used to be a breakfast drink. I gave it up.
Oh. Well, I could offer up a screw breakfast. It's kind of a really interesting drink.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have said that name, sorry.
Do you have any other questions?
No,
I'd entertain a motion to approve the hour change.
I'll second it.
Okay. I'll make the motion. We're going to make sure that where Priscilla has it.
I
Okay.
referred 3
All right.
people.
All right. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
It's really nice to meet you.
Likewise, I hope to see you guys in there. you know?
Well, we get
You're on
pieces.
TV.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So Casey will stamp those then.
Okay.
Stamp it, okay.
On these two, there's only one signature required?
No, there was,
Yeah. On the back,
It appears as though there's only one signature required.
okay.
no, there was a place for you to sign.
Well, one's a supplier and one's us,
Oh.
I think.
Okay, why don't you
Right.
sign it?
I think it's just
Wait, Will, I want to embarrass you a little bit before you go, if I may. Karen.
Oh, you certainly should. You can, because we have public comment. We don't have, our next hearing is at 7:30, so come on up.
I came as the heavy hand to endorse Will here, who my wife and I discovered in Amherst. Would like to think that we had a part in bringing him over. Wonderful person to deal with socially and business-wise. Gary and Chris at the brewery know him. I don't think you'll find anyone that doesn't appreciate having this type of person in our town. We're a small town. It's important that we have the right people. I can say that going back to Billings Drugstore, how many can raise their hand on that one? Okay?
Both Billy's and Billings.
That's right, and it did cross over several times, thanks to Mr. Arkevitz. But this young fella here has...
Why don't you come up so you can finish to saying this, because we can put this as part of the public hearing note minutes.
It's on record.
Yes, this isn't, yeah, well.
We'll
that's
even
part
give
of-
you a mic.
We did,
He knows me, I'm up the street, or
Yeah.
used to be for
Yeah.
him. Anyway, just by way of having a good business in town and good people to deal with, you won't do better than this young fella. He's there for the right reasons. He's doing the right things. You'll be pleased. Have you been in? Probably, yeah. I know sometimes we close a meeting here for any number of reasons. Mr. Pachurk and the boys go over there and they finish up business, whatever. So having that available as a secondary meeting place, because I know Billings Drugstore, everything was done there before town meeting or before select board. By the time you got to select board, everything was okay, and they stamped this and stamped that. Everything went beautifully.
That just filled in a lot of things for me.
Did it? Okay. Anyway,
Either the drugstore or the Polish Club, one of the two.
that was before the open meeting law.
No? No?
good people.
I don't know, they were very open.
Oh, Lord, we're going to be, this is on TV, guys.
Wow.
Anyway.
Hey, it gets good and it gets better. Well, this is one of the good times, and I think you'll find you'll be very pleased with what Will does. Stop in here anytime. He's so on top of things, it's embarrassing. He's fun. He'll give everybody an enjoyable visit, and we welcome you to Deerfield, Will.
Appreciate it.
And
Okay.
it really was nice
Thanks,
to meet
Dad.
you.
I don't know what else I can say except thank you. I didn't have to be heavy-handed and come up here and bang on the table or anything.
You never do, but it's always lovely to see you.
Well, thank you very much.
And Happy New Year.
And you too. Nice to see you. You took care of the chief. You took care of my good buddy,
Dick?
Dick. Yes, we go way back too. I can't even tell you how embarrassing that is. Anyway, thank you for endorsing that hours changed. I went to the Sunderland meeting to try to do the same thing for Snowsies. Hit the brick wall. No way. I don't know. They're not compatible like you guys are. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it. You can go now, Will. Back to work.
Unmanaged.
Let's see. We have 5 more minutes.
I can tell you, I can give a little report if you want.
Yes, why don't you do that?
I'll just tell you about the ZBA. Mr. Camosa was in about his interest, and I said that the board had told me they'd like the people who are interested to talk to the boards directly, and then for the boards to let you know about that. So I directed him that way. So what would my report be?
I think
so much
actually,
to
since
say.
we have,
Oh, I know.
we have 2 seconds, we should just mention that our next Board of Selectmen meeting is Tuesday, January 28th, not the 29th,
Correct.
in case there was any confusion. Okay.
I just want to point out, I included the month's report, something you might not have seen before, or not in a while, in your
In a while, we
packet.
haven't seen it.
So it's a good chance for you, especially as we're
Getting-
ramping up rapidly for budgets, to really get a sense of all the departments and the line items and all of that, so. And Casey's working hard on putting the budget forms together for the departments, but they're all aware, and they should be working on them also.
This would have answered my question on the highway department's budget for snow removal
Yeah, I
and
have
stuff.
that down as a question to look
So,
into.
But I,
It did or it
I
didn't?
thought this was mail, so I didn't look at it.
Oh, it's actually a little older than the latest storms, I think, so
Okay.
it might not bring you up to date.
We're just about ready to have public hearing on
Class 2
the
license.
Class 2 license. Well, we have a couple more minutes. And I guess one thing that, now that you're here, Mark, Wendy Wendy got an email on our hazardous mitigation plan, and she forwarded it to me, and it hasn't been approved yet by FEMA, or it came back from FEMA, not approved. And so we need to have a little meeting and go over some of the stuff. I read it, what were some of the FEMA comments, and I was a little surprised at the comments. They were certainly understandable. So I didn't know how you wanted to handle this, whether, because you and I are on the committee. It's not that we're trying to exclude you, Dave. You just, Mark as emergency manager was on the committee. I was on as, because I've been involved in the river stuff and repair of some of the erosion issues. So
I have the whole plan here, if anybody wants to
this is
look at
the
it.
kind of comments that were a little bit upsetting. This should have been like fill in the blank comments, and so I didn't know what you wanted to do. I feel like we could meet and we could finish it off relatively fast. I'm a little concerned because it shouldn't have, to me, it should have not been sent in with some of those comments. And this was dated November 11th, and we have been talking to them since September. Wendy and I both. And all of a sudden this came up, and it's like dumped in our laps. And
They kept telling us that, they were negotiating with FEMA on problems with the plan. And so we're not aware that it was back in our laps. That's basically what happened.
right. So I mean, we're really. The problem is FEMA will not, or MEMA cannot release the almost $800,000 for work along Little Meadow Road that has been awarded to us until we have an approved hazardous mitigation plan. We have one that has expired, and we were supposed to update it. And the FERCog got a grant to update it, as you know. We had several meetings, and it was submitted and rejected. And these are the comments from FEMA, and it's...
It was rejected in November?
No, it was rejected back in the summer. It was right after you came on board,
Right.
we got notification that it was rejected. And so we were right on top of it. Wendy and I both were on top of it. We were like, okay, let's try to get it worked out. And they kept telling us that it was being negotiated. But the comments, these are the actual comments, FEMA comments. And
They seem to be things that the COG could have answered, don't they?
I mean, there's nothing to negotiate. You put in the correct information as far as I'm concerned. So I didn't know what you wanted to do, if you wanted to contact Linda Dunleavy, or do you want us just, I mean...
I think that the appropriate would be to contact them and ask...
Who do you want to contact? Do you want to contact...
I'll contact Linda and find out who she wants as a point of contact. And I'll ask the very striking question is why the simple things weren't addressed, but
Right.
we also have the other things we need to... Looks like we need to buckle down on a couple of those.
Yeah, but like saying that there's been no damage for hurricanes and tropical storms. My God, we've been documenting it.
Right. Those we need to take care of, but the other issues those are the easy ones. I don't sweat those. I sweat the ones that are answers that we don't have off the top of our heads.
Well, okay, so I'll let you...
I'll get a hold of Linda and we'll figure out where we're going with this.
Okay.
And it'll probably be appropriate for this multiple hazard.
Sorry, sir.
Do you
If you
want...
could have thrown something at me, I would have paid attention.
Okay, it's 7:30, so we'll open the hearing. Do you want me to read the hearing notice?
Yes, please.
Okay. The Deerfield Board of Selectmen hereby give notice in accordance to Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Section 59, that Deerfield Motors and Equipment, 373 Greenfield Road, South Deerfield, has filed an application with the Board of Selectmen to run a Class II used vehicle dealer business. In compliance with the Massachusetts General Laws, the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing at the municipal offices main meeting room, 8 Conway Street, South Deerfield, on Wednesday, January 15th, 2014 at 7:30 p.m. Okay, come on up. Just need you to introduce yourselves for our audience. Hi.
Hi, Scott. How
Hi,
you doing?
Scott.
Gary Kolakowski.
And hi, Gary. I know, we know you, but we have to do this for
You have to smile for the camera.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about what you'd like to do, or why you'd
Well,
like to
the
do it?
main reason why we're here is the farm equipment, tractors and stuff that sometimes get sold, end up taking a vehicle and trade, a truck or a farm truck or a trailer or whatever, and you have to process the paperwork, RMV form, and you need a dealer's license to do that. Otherwise, you have to go up and pay the tax and wait 30 days for the title to come back and to transfer ownership. And that's the main reason we're here, and to cover farm vehicles, farm trucks, trailers that sometimes are traded, and occasionally a classic car, or my brother fixes up a couple cars, and so he like to put a couple out there for sale occasionally, but we're mainly looking at farm stuff being traded.
Okay.
We're not looking to be a big used car lot or anything like that. It's mainly to get the license to be able to transfer the paperwork to the registry and without paying title and sales tax.
Plus to get a dealer plate so somebody can test drive a car. You have to get the dealer's license.
Okay.
So to rephrase that, you want to have the benefits of having a dealer's license to actually take those, to be able to take those actions and take advantage of the fact that they're available to you. It's not that you're trying to circumvent paying taxes. It's to expedite and to make it.
Yeah, it's a legal way to do it, pretty much, yeah.
You can't say that. Don't say it's a legal way to exempt taxes. That's, people don't like that. What I'm trying to do is make sure that people understand you're trying to comply with the rules and regulations so that via this permitting process, or you will get a dealer's plates and those things available to your benefits to be the process. In other words, you'll be engaged in that. So,
Is there any public comment? Yes.
Come on up, please. And we need to get them on mic.
Yeah, you just need to identify yourself. Okay.
My name's Kate Devlin, and I live next door at 367 Greenfield Road. I've lived there all my life, and am very familiar with this property. And I just have a few questions,
Sure.
Clarifying questions. So one of the questions is how many cars, how many tractors, what's the number of vehicles we're talking about?
Do you see a volume difference in, I think it's what she's...
No, we actually talked somewhat today about it, and we've kind of drawn out something here, and we went over the parking lot without taking up any grass area and leaving place to pull in and out. And we came up with a total of 15 spots to park, but this is also including the farm machinery. And we have, I think, there's 8 down there now. So the possibility of maybe having with the vehicles or other tractors, possibly 7 more than what's there.
can you show me where your building is?
For some reason.
Just point to it.
The building would be here.
Yeah, building's right there.
This is the entrance, and this is an entrance.
Did you change from what you submitted? Or is this pretty much what
No,
you
it's the
submitted?
same.
That's the one.
And
Somehow
we
this
just-
got cut
the
off.
building doesn't show up on
Yeah,
it.
it must have got cut off
Yeah,
when she
but the
printed it.
Parking.
She's the one that's interested. I just wanted to be able to explain what I was looking at. And when I saw it, the building wasn't there, so.
Okay. So how many of these are for customers versus employees versus for sale?
Those are
I think
15 spots pretty much for sale.
whether it's their piece of equipment or a tractor or
Car.
a possible vehicle. We left the center open.
It'll probably
for
never
parking.
be, it'll probably never be all that, like we said. I mean,
So customer parking would be in the center section.
yeah,
Center, that's what we
And-
figured.
by the building or
Any
whatever.
place that you don't have a vehicle in place.
And you have
Or in
like,
front or behind the vehicle
and you
that's
have
there.
about 8 now that
There's
fills?
8,
Well, there's
including
a-
the tractors and the machinery there's 8 pieces of
There's
equipment
no
there right now.
cars there right now.
No vehicles.
What kind of condition are these vehicles going to be in?
Nice.
Nice condition?
They're going to be,
There won't be no.
What does that mean?
There won't be
Like,
no
are-
relics, no. I mean,
Okay.
like wreck stuff or
Yeah,
they'll
half
be-
finished or
they'll
in the
be-
works or trade-ins
be
that, you know.
ready for sale, inspectable vehicles. I'm kind of meticulous. I won't sell.
Some of the relics you have are awful nice.
Yeah.
even if we do a couple classic cars, they'll be like the ones that were, I sold a couple there this summer. It'd be that type of condition.
Summertime.
They'll be roadworthy, something that somebody can buy and register and drive. Nothing that needs any repair.
Okay. Because we're really concerned about sort of the
You're
visual
worried about
impact.
junk.
Yeah.
Because we've worked hard to make our property
I
look
understand.
nice, and
No,
we
but
want
I've always said we're going to try to keep it as nice as we can. I mean, it's been a good year, and I've been trying to keep it nice and
yeah, no, it looks good, right?
considering what
It
it
does look
was.
Well, that was a question. I don't get by your property that often, but every time I've gone by, I've noticed that it increases and it's curb appealed, so to speak.
Well, we're working on it. We've been at a standstill this winter, but we're going to be back at it here shortly and get the siding and the windows and get back working on it as soon as we get some better weather.
Somebody from historic Deerfield commented they were so glad that we cleaned that place up.
Yeah,
I can echo that from what I'm seeing so far.
yeah. So I'm curious, I'm just looking at this diagram. This looks like it extends the blacktop area.
It does.
So are you thinking of adding more blacktop?
No, just like
So
TRG.
parking in the grass?
No, we're going to dig it up and just put a little TRG, I guess.
Is that
Where's
stone
that
or
on
is
the end
that?
next to the
Stone
building?
dust
Okay.
and chop rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll go down deep and just make it so it's not
Yeah, it's
a mud.
I think
Impervious.
just on that end, wasn't we going to make a little extension?
Right. It's impervious. So,
Well, not so impervious because there's a wetland right here. And I know the water
Already-
table's pretty close to the
yeah.
surface
Yeah,
there.
the water table is up.
But it won't, what they're saying is technically it is not blacktop. It will allow stuff to go
absorb,
through there.
yeah.
Absorb to go through there.
Yeah. Okay. I have another question. I have several just sort of basic ones, and some of what we talked about earlier today, too.
Okay.
What kind of signage are you thinking of for advertising?
They have to comply with the
Yeah,
town.
So what does that mean?
My understanding, my recollection is it's 4 square feet. So
Okay.
a 2-by-2 sign. But
I don't remember
you have
offhand.
to get a special permit to do anything else, and you should be, as a butter, be notified that they will violate any of that. The actual bylaws are pretty conservative, so
You
their
can-
signs.
You can see other signs, like up and down 5 and 10.
Mhm.
It won't be
don't
anything.
use 116.
Well, would it be on the building, or would it be separate from the building?
Well, we really haven't made that decision. It could be up on the front of the building, or like we talked today, that we could put it on a post out front.
Mhm.
But I'm not talking anything huge.
I think the general trend, I'm just my observation, we've had so much problems with this property, and
Mhm.
having them purchase it and clean it up has been huge.
Mhm.
So I would have to say I'm very supportive of what they're trying to do. And I think that they know,
I mean, we got-
from people's comments that, like the historic Deerfield people or whatever. It just, people are very thrilled that what they're doing, so.
Mhm.
Between what they're doing there and BJ's doing across the street.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Jason.
Not Jason.
Jason. Well, that's the other project. I haven't got back to this building. My son's been after me to get the little gray house done. We've been picking away at that pretty good lately, trying to finish that, and then when I get that done.
It's all an improvement in that area from what it was.
But
Yeah.
we're trying to do this pretty much as we can on our own, and in between farm work and everything else going on at home, we've been picking away at it best we can.
Well, it's very appreciated.
Both
I have to
pieces of
say.
property.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard nothing but positive comments, so.
keeping on task.
Yeah.
Continue
Yeah.
on with your questions.
This sign, we'd talk to you or whatever before we going to do anything.
Okay. So I have another question about lighting, because it's a business. I'm assuming you'll have
There should be a
lights,
light.
or what's your plan? I know you have those little solar lights out there now, which are pretty dim at night, which is nice because that doesn't add to the overall.
No, there should be like a security light on the opposite side of your house,
Mhm.
overlooking our driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll have anything on the south side,
We'll have nothing on your side.
but
no.
we'll probably have a light over the yard, the driveway on the north side.
Even if
And
it's
I'm sure-
shining, if you have things parked back here, even if it's shining this way, the building, I mean, our house is right here.
No, the building will be here, so we'll probably put it halfway up or 3/4 of the way up the second story. Just
Mhm.
have it
You know,
shine this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine we could put one out, we'll have to have something out front, but it'll probably be on a switch to
You can always put
probably
one-
be on and off, if somebody's there, but shut
Yeah.
off at night.
Motion
when nobody's-
activated or something.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about,
I know
mean,
you don't
there-
want nothing going in your windows. of the
Shining in
house.
your,
Yeah.
over your house, yeah.
Yeah, because our house is not far away at all. And even when Darren was working on his project, we were talking about the lights from the barn and how he has them set up so they shine into the barn and not out into the general
Yeah.
area, which we were very supportive of Darren's.
So, yeah, they'll be shining towards Darren's place.
What does Bill think?
And
It won't be that bright.
I don't
Yeah.
think there's
Like
any
a
reason.
street light, basically. I mean,
Well, there is a street light here.
oh, okay.
Well, yeah, right across from Child's Cross.
But there's no reason for us to have one on the south side of the building
No.
against your property that I can
Just-
see.
Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
lawn.
Yeah. But it would be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So all night, there would be light, extra light.
On the north side?
Yeah.
Um,
I just want,
I don't know if
I'm
you
just
put-
looking for
Kind of like a
clarification, that's all.
liability thing.
I would tell you
I
the
mean,
truth, we didn't think about this too much,
Yeah.
but she does have a,
It'd be like a,
that type of communication between neighbors and a partnership is the best.
I mean,
thing
I
to
guess
make
you could
good
put a
friends.
motion light there. If somebody came in, it comes on, then after they leave,
yeah.
it goes out.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, we could
Well,
do that.
The
We
bears would
probably,
set it off sometimes with the coyotes, but
Why, there's bears down there?
Huh?
There's bears there?
we've had one come right behind our house last summer.
but if you think about it, maybe we should probably have some kind of light over the driveway.
Yeah, just for like people come in, you don't want them to trip or anything either.
You can have, you can get light that is directed down.
Yeah.
Like if they put it halfway up their building.
Yeah.
It can be directed down, like over the entrance or something
But
like that.
understand, they get a permit, they'll reapply for the permit on a regular basis. If there's something that's done incorrectly, I don't see these people doing anything.
Yeah,
They
so
they
you-
seem
Yeah,
to be
no,
very
I just
conscientious.
want to understand the whole process.
You're
That's-
asking questions, and this is where, from my point of view, we can't hash out the details of
Mhm.
what they don't know. And I don't want them to commit something they don't know, so part of this
Well-
process is, it's good input, and I'm not discouraging the discussion or the input, but the resolution is something that, sitting at this table, you need to work that out, and if it becomes an issue, you can bring it back as a
Okay.
relicensing
I'm just thinking
process.
ahead,
Yep.
too, in terms of down the road as well. Another question about this particular license. So if it's awarded to you guys, and say 10 years from now you decide to sell the place, does the license go with the property? Then whoever would buy it would have to reapply, and there would be
Right.
another hearing and all that.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
I
Okay.
guess.
This is to them. This
So-
is, we're giving them the license.
Mhm. Okay, that was just something I couldn't find. I was looking for that to see if.
Yes,
looking
this
it
is
up.
an annual renewal.
Okay.
Well, even license it in other applications, the transfer of it can be supported by the people. They could find somebody they thought wanted to be there, they could support it, but they can't give it,
Okay.
and they can't sell it.
Okay, I didn't know. These are all real honest questions.
No, we certainly
Well, some of them
understand.
we haven't even thought about, so yeah, you're bringing up a good point. Yeah, like the light and,
No, lighting is a huge issue, but
Yeah,
I just have to say,
Come on,
no, it is.
It's
It
an
is.
issue.
It can be a huge issue.
can be.
It can be very much of an irritant, but again, it seems like, the general trend here has been improvement of the property, and
Mhm.
it seems like you could work with them really well.
Yeah, we got too much money invested in it now, so.
Yeah. What kind of work will be done on vehicles on the property?
The vehicles, anything
Detailing.
that becomes in trade or that's for sale would be pretty much the detailing work, cleaning inside, if it needs
Mechanical.
brake work or exhaust system or mechanical stuff.
No painting, like I told you before.
But yeah, no, absolutely no
painting.
no
I got
painting.
my own spray booth, so.
If a vehicle needs to have a bumper changed or a fender, maybe something like that, but absolutely no painting.
It sounds like you could be doing some major mechanics there.
Well, my brother's already got the body shop at home, so it'd be too much to
Can't be at two places at once.
reinvest
Right,
money
so-
down there to do.
I might
do
paint a
that.
bumper cover up at the shop and bring it down and put on the car inside.
Mhm.
I mean, but
Okay. And so another question I've been reading the open space and recreation plan that just was completed, and it's an amazing report. I can see how much work went into it. And I'm wondering, in the goals, the first goal says that they want to preserve and enhance the unique small-town rural character of Deerfield as reflected by connected farms, forests, ridgelines, and historic village centers. That's the first goal. And then one of the objectives, A6, says to encourage development to be focused in South Deerfield Village Center and select areas of routes 5 and 10 and avoid commercial strip development along routes 5 and 10. And so I'm wondering how this fits into the plan in terms of the town plan for development and how this business fits. Does it support these goals or not? Or
I feel like it does support the goals. Number one, these are farmers, and you're selling farm equipment, and so there was a commercial place there.
I know it was grandfathered in as a zoning.
Right. It's been there for a long time, so it's not additional. I mean, we're not creating new space,
Mhm.
and it certainly is an vast improvement over what was there. So I feel like it has met our goals.
Okay. Along those lines, I was also looking at the wetlands, because Fuller Swamp is right behind it, and that whole area, right up, when you look at the biomap, it crosses Child's Crossroad in terms of the buffer area for the wetland. So I'm wondering what protection measures will be put in place to protect the swamp, because it is a critical habitat. It's identified as a critical habitat, one of 5 wetlands in the town. So what's the environmental assessment in terms of protecting that buffer area?
They'll have to comply with all the rules and regulations for any modifications that they make to the facility.
Okay.
And, you have best practices, obviously. So, I mean, is there anything that you can think of offhand that would?
no, we had the environmental study was done, right? That's for contamination.
Yeah, this
21E.
21E study.
If you had to do anything there,
Like blacktop and more stuff. Or
if you had to do anything there, I think if it's within a certain distance, you'd have to go to the conservation board. They'd have to be approved before we could do,
Right.
any change, I guess, there, as far as the soil or driveway or,
Mhm.
I mean, they'd have to approve it.
Right.
So even this extension of your parking lot, if you're going to rip that up and change it, because there's a trail right here, and then there's the swamp.
Well, I think
It's not.
I think it's
I
not
think
in the
we're only
buffer.
talking about, 10 feet maybe, or extension you've got in there?
This is
20 feet.
20 feet.
Please understand, that is not the preview of this license. It's a good question, and you want to address it through the Conservation Commission, but I'm very uneasy giving advice in that arena when it's not our preview. You're asking good questions, and I would follow up on it, but we can't answer what you've asked. That is something that has to be evaluated by the Conservation Commission, and we're not,
Sounds like there are a lot of questions still out there.
it has nothing to do with the licensing. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
nothing
good
to do.
question, but it has nothing to do with the licensing. And that's great, and I don't disagree, but the reality is, it's not part of this licensing. And if they do not change anything there, we're not giving them permission to dig up the driveway. We're not giving them permission to put those sites in place. Those are their proposed sites. In the licensing process of what they're doing, they drew a nice picture of what their intents are. They may not be allowed to do that when it comes through the process.
If it's the buffer is, you have a buffer.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's less than the buffer, then, they have to go to the Conservation Commission.
And they have to get that type of process. What they're asking for is a license to run the building.
business.
The
Mhm.
business that's there. Part of our licensing is not to require even the 21E or any of the buffer zone permitting processes.
So the license, does the license limit in terms of, so you've proposed 15 spaces, does the license say 15 spaces or 15?
The application says up to 15.
Mm-hmm.
And they could park it on the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
They could move those cars all forward one step and be parked on the driveway, or they could park it on the grass and turn it into a mud lot. In reality, it's their home, and I think they've shown from
Home. It's a business. It's my home over here. So.
I can, if you want to debate it, that's fine. These people have put their heart and soul into this process.
I
I would
agree.
assume that
Yeah.
the word home is where your heart is and where your thought process is. So that's their business, and they're going to survive by being good business people. And you asked very good questions, but as I said, this isn't the body that passes judgment on that thought process. So
Well,
I can't.
But it is granting a license to move a business forward, and so I'm raising concerns.
We acknowledge that, but I can't. Okay.
Here again, the license application is just to be able to sell the used cars.
Mhm.
Any modifications to the property or anything else, that's a whole different application process.
Mhm.
And if it's conservation, zoning, or anything else like that, there has to be hearings to go with that. So we're just trying to make it easy, or, they're trying to make it easy for themselves for the transference of titles and being able to acquire a dealer's plate from the RMV. As a board, that's all we can do. Anything else you're doing to the property, the building inspector and everything else, there's a lot of other things that have to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like right now they've come in and asked to have a service station installed and they want to have a Jiffy Lube there. Then that would be a whole different discussion. This is just a license so they can transfer right now the vehicles. And that's really the only thing it covers.
And the sign is our responsibility. If they violate the sign violation, it will come back to us. They can ask for
It's a zoning issue,
through
what
the
Mark is
zoning
saying.
board.
It's
Yeah.
a zoning issue,
Yeah.
so the building
Yeah.
inspector. And that's why we didn't have the answers for you on the signage, because, it's something that we have a zoning officer, that Dick Kalashewski, that
Yeah, I know.
enforces that. So, when they go to put up a sign, whatever they chose to do, it has to comply with what our existing regulations are. It has nothing to do with actually us granting the license.
Mhm.
So, do you have any more questions?
I guess that covers just about all of them. I just want to say we want to be good neighbors, and we do talk,
Well, I told you when we bought it, we didn't want any trouble there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're neighbors, and we're trying to do things right there, and, I appreciate you bringing up some of these things, and if you do have something in the future, don't be afraid to call or come over and discuss it. I mean, we're willing to work with you.
We can make changes, yeah. Like I said, we get a lot of money invested. We can't just have an empty commercial building and get nothing out of it.
I understand.
Well, if there's no further questions from the board.
Well, first we have to make sure there's no further question from the audience.
Okay.
Any further public comment?
I endorse as a neighbor both of these parties. They do a good job. It's nice to have the Kolakowskis on the hill. That's another aspect that you wouldn't normally have in most.
I'm surprised they let you live on the hill.
You're not related.
He knows me. And you folks have done a grand job fixing up the place you have. And I understand your concern. I had a big fight over Berkshire Gas, putting in a huge storage facility at the end of your street. And I can't imagine the crater that would be there if we let them do it. But anyway, thank you. Good business. And I'm saying that to the board. I think we've done everything we can do. Appreciate it.
Any
Very,
further?
very soft-spoken, too, not like the old days when people didn't need amplifiers.
Sorry.
If there's no further discussion,
We'll close the hearing.
I'm going to close the hearing and make a motion. I make a motion that we approve this licensing with up to 15 vehicles as demonstrated to us.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please make that unanimous. Thank you very much.
All right,
I'm
thanks.
sure you have.
Thank you for coming forward with your
I
questions.
appreciate everything you've been doing to that lot
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
yours, yeah.
and that space. We've had many years of issues
Casey
there.
will stamp it if it's okay, or somebody will.
And hopefully you can have discussions, and this is an annual renewal, so we can. Yeah.
And
So-
if there's a change in use, they have to come and apply for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Again, thank you for cleaning up that lot.
Yeah, sure. Like I say, we'll continue working.
Yeah. There's a few less visits for us,
Mark,
and less phone calls.
this is the entire draft hazardous mitigation plan. I didn't fold it over because if I was going to make extra copies, those long pages, I just left them out.
Mark, where are we at? We have employee vacation leave and interim town administrator and transition discussion. Those are the only two items left, okay? And you have to sign the warrant. We've already signed the warrant. And I thought you might miss dinner, so here's a couple nuts.
Couple nuts. I won't take that. No, I'm not going to
It's nice when she looks that way and there's a couple nuts.
Yeah, there's a couple nuts, yeah. So, the next one we have is the employee leave.
Yeah, it was emailed by town clerk. And here's copies.
Yeah.
I believe this is what she is proposing
Is this the final
still.
one? Just hit me with the 2x4.
I don't know if this is the final, but is the gist of it.
We had a meeting today with the department heads to make sure there was a thorough understanding of what the intent was. I know this has been emailed out to both of you, and you've received it and reviewed it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And the facts that we want to ensure the employees of the town that it's going to change the look on their paycheck, but it doesn't change what they're entitled to for vacation. It will change back to the original policies and procedures that used to exist, and understand that what people are owed is being tracked by Barbara on both systems at this time. So we didn't lose any information, and we haven't changed anything dramatically. The only thing that should change on the pay stub will be the accrual of vacation going up every month until such time that we rectify the policies and procedures in which we use at the town of Deerfield. This should go out, a memo similar to this will go out in the pay stubs of everybody in, not this week, but 2 weeks from now. to reflect that will be that part of the paycheck will change, and that if there's any questions or concerns, please get a hold of Barbara or your supervisors, and we'll rectify it and make it so you understand that nothing's being taken away.
Do we need to vote this? Since it's our existing bylaws already?
Well, I think the vote was simply to endorse her taking this action.
Right. It's to make sure that everybody understands it's coming from us to.
From the
Like I
direction
said,
of the board.
when I responded to it was, the only concern is, it says under the direction of the Board of Selectmen. And if the whole board has not reviewed it in a meeting,
Right.
I don't think it should have gone that way until we did discuss it in the meeting.
Okay. Well, I mean.
Well, the second half of that with media today, if you got it and commented on it and said you concurred with it, and all three of us concur with it, we can just let her take that documentation as a viable process.
I had sent her email saying that I concurred with this because I didn't think we had much choice because it was our current bylaw.
Well, again,
The change of the bylaw was bypassed at the special town meeting.
Right.
So that was why we didn't really have much
Yep.
choice. So,
and again,
because the council is advising us to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And so is the personnel committee, I guess I would just like to know, is the personnel committees then going to suggest us changing the bylaw at the
Yeah, that's on their agenda is to.
for the next
It's been
town
on
meeting?
it for a while.
right.
So for our town meeting in
Yes.
April, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be changed.
We
Well-
need to do a few steps with the bylaws. Get rid of, redo the bylaw so it's, what am I was using this term all day.
Receptive to the change.
Yeah, so it's, keeps the personnel board intact, keeps its powers intact, but takes these issues about leave that are addressed in the policy manual that they've distributed and sent around and for comment. So that will take the place of that.
Okay.
So that's the plan for annual meeting.
I guess I just want to make sure that we do have this on the agenda for the town meeting, as well as the tobacco.
It's on as long as the
Bylaw,
work gets
deleting
done. There's a bit of work that needs to be done between now and then, including and especially, I think, review by a labor council of the personnel policy manual.
All right.
So if you have not reviewed the personnel manual, personnel policy manual, I would highly recommend you do, because we'll be sending it to council very shortly to look at it. We're also going to do some shakeouts of it by some of the department heads and some ideas that they may have to champion. So that's a big part of this, but the reality of this is we need to get this process nailed down.
Okay.
So the meeting yielded the facts that we will be reviewing this on a weekly basis to determine whether or not we're hitting our goals.
Okay.
So I've asked for a plan to fix it,
Okay.
to make sure it gets on to the annual town meeting. Any further discussion?
It's another thing I have to say. It's just amazing to me that at this point in time in the town of Deerfield, we don't have a clear vacation policy.
Well, we had a clear one. It was
It
clear
is
for
clear.
what had happened, but it's not to what is common practice today.
What we have is July 1st. If you're here July 1st, you get your vacation. Everybody gets their vacation. If you're
Please.
no, I know, but I'm just saying.
I know-
it's
I know-
clear with the
I'm sure he
bylaws.
understands. He's read some of the bylaws. He's
Yeah.
read through the process. I think he's read the personnel. the
Yeah,
new
it's just
proposal.
that,
It's amazing that we haven't had an issue prior to this, and it says something about the town that we allow this to be flexible and floating in this arena, but it's gotten to a point now where it's got to be cleaned up.
Okay.
And it's come to light because of changes in what is the town and how it works.
So it was always good enough before, but it's got some tweaking that needs to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll be quiet now.
don't be. This is what will help make the changes, and the reality is, if we don't talk about it, it's just like, it's been
Well, it's just,
standard
you know,
policy for
it's
quite a long time. and-
when policies are as clear as mud, you know, you're always going to get in trouble.
And that's why I think the whole policy manual and everything else needs to be looked at and cleared up and brought to the times. Things have changed. The way we do business has changed a little bit.
So this is probably the second most important thing to most of our employees. You know, first is what they're getting paid, and two is what time they're getting off.
Dental insurance.
Wendy.
I'm not going to get into that philosophy statement right now, because it is very important. There's no argument that, but let's go on to
The
them.
last thing we have is town administrator transition.
Mm-hmm. Want me to start?
Yes.
Well, good.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that was it. We've addressed everything else.
We're at a crossroads in which our contract with Wendy is going to come to a conclusion of an ending. We haven't gotten through the personnel bylaw or the personnel committee's search, and we're going to have to make a transition. There are several that have been offered up in thought at this point in time. And I think that at this point we really need to get off the pot and make a decision where we're going to go. So in that light, there's been a lot of conversation. People have been doing a lot of soul searching and thought processes. And I have heard everything from advertising for another interim, which we can do very quickly, to moving staff into a position, to which happens to be my personal thought process at this point in time. Doing nothing, we'll just let it go into the sunset, and we just see where the work goes and carry that process. I guess I need to hear more than, and I broke my cardinal rule. I usually don't try to give my opinion before I ask for everybody else's, but I guess the pleasure of the board is really necessary at this point as to where we think. You're listening? Well, just your response surprises me. Being one of the nuts.
I had heard through the grapevine that Dave had a suggestion, and I, when I was here for the garage meeting on Tuesday, I'm very supportive of that idea. So, Dave, if you wanted to talk about that.
Well, it's just, you know, Wendy is leaving the first part of February. We're faced with either not having an administrator or interim in position or not. I honestly think that we do need one. And, you know, my recommendation and my thought process was that instead of trying to bring somebody in from the outside that does not know the town or the players and try to have them in place for a couple, 3 months, we have somebody that I feel that, you know, not that I know her real well, but knows the players and appears to be capable of filling the shoes of the interim. You know, I've only known Casey for a while, but I mean, you know, she kind of impresses me as somewhat strong-willed, and that I think would be a benefit for the board.
I endorse that, by the way. Someone said earlier, Casey works hard. She does. She's always worked hard. She's quietly there getting things done.
You keep that up, you're going to be another nut.
Casey, so have you thought about it?
I have. And Priscilla will be mad if I don't give her the opportunity to hear what I have to say so she can write it down. I have thought about it. I think we're at a point where transition, like Dave said, transition, having a new person come in there's gonna be that ramp up period like we had with Wendy. And we're in the budget season, which is a huge amount of work. Plus we have a lot of work in the office too. That said, I think my concern for the three of you is whether you're okay with the idea that things are going to fall off the radar screen. I can't help it, and neither can any of the staff in the office. Things will fall off the radar screen. We've got to keep focused on certain things. Not that we won't try to keep that from happening, because we do, but doing something like this, there's still things in my position that I would still have to do. But we do have good staff in the office, and one of the things Wendy and I had talked about before this conversation even started was setting up a work plan that delineates the workflow a little bit better. We've had a lot of transition in the entire town hall, so that's affected our workflow. And setting up a work plan based on the new personalities and the new challenges that we're facing with new staff would be helpful in that sense. So those are some of my thoughts on it.
I guess the reason why I'm supportive of it is because I am aware that you work really hard. And the thing is, as Dave stated, that no matter who we brought in, no matter how competent they are, there would be transition that you would end up helping them know the ropes, and that takes a lot of time. So you'd end up be doing the work anyway. And if we didn't officially put the interim in your title, then, or, say that you're the interim administrator, you'd be doing the work anyway. And I think if you're going to be doing the work, you should have some reward for that, a monetary reward and some recognition. So my thoughts on this would be to have a period of time of at least 3 or 4 months that we actually slow down the search process so that you can have...
Slow it down, we haven't even started yet.
I know, but so it might not even be an issue. But I feel it's really important that Casey, this is a big step for Casey, and my concern is I don't want to lose her as a worker. And having conversation with you, you don't want to lose your job, which you do like.
No.
So, I think we need to give her an opportunity to be the interim administrator, to follow your point, but to see if she really wants the job and have the opportunity to apply for it. And how we work together so that we, so she has a fair chance because we all know people can look really, really good on paper. And this gets back to, we have to feel comfortable with a person that knows the town, and people can look really, really good on paper and not really be the one person that we want. So I'm supportive of this process. I'd also talk to Casey in general that, there is going to be additional workload because we are going to be down a full person. So maybe there's opportunity for Wendy to come back and consult at some times to do some of the, help Casey with the workload. I feel like Wendy is really good. Casey wouldn't be threatened. You truly don't want the job, and you work together good. So anyway, there was a possibility of Casey having some support from Wendy at, in between her FEMA training. And I thought that would be useful too.
And my feelings on it is, if we decide to put Casey or whoever we put into that position, obviously my support is for Casey, but is that she administers that office, she delegates in that office, and part of that responsibility of the office is saying that she's staying within the budget of that office. So if she needs additional help, That's her call to say, I need some additional help, as long as it's staying within the budget of the office. Because obviously, coming into the budget season and everything else, there's a lot of things that could fall by the wayside. And there may be some things that unintentionally get to the wayside that we don't want.
Right.
So it's just...
Well,
Go ahead.
I think that an exit strategy and plan is something that needs to be put together if we're going to go on this path. And I agree with David in the fact that it should be the office that administers what it needs and doesn't need in the process. But I want to make sure that falling off the radar is a term it's not really defined in my languages, so I really want to make sure that if we have...
in your job, it's not really a good thing.
No. And in our job, it's not really a good thing. So what I really would like the board to embrace is the fact that if we have stuff that's required of our office and it's known, it gets onto some planning document. If it falls off the radar, if that's the terminology, it's done intentionally because other things that need to be done more expeditiously or requirement of the board's decision, policy-making statements. I think we've spent a lot of time picking up pieces, and I think it's more that we do the planning that needs to happen to get things packed in some sort of logical thought process. So I'm going to be advocating for us to help as needed to make sure that the plan can be derived and modified as it deems necessary by the office workload. I love the fact that Casey is willing to look at what people bring to the table and evaluate it for, are the jobs in the right places, and do we have the right talents and skill sets to be able to achieve the goals that we have put in front of us. And I'm hoping that she'll come back to us and tell us when those goals are not achievable. So I think we need to negotiate, and that's the next step. Now that I think we have agreements on where we're going, is how do we negotiate the benefits, the protocols, the rules, the things of that nature. We need to set that out and say to get that done fairly quickly because it's a short-term endeavor. So
my suggestion would be that we, you put something together for us for next, our next meeting.
Okay.
And
which is
but
the
try
28th.
the 28th, which is Tuesday the 28th, not Wednesday. Again, I just want to remind people we're meeting on the 28th, which is a Tuesday. And it would be helpful, Casey, if you circulated it. If you and Wendy could circulate it a little ahead of time.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to be at the MMA conference.
Yes. Yes.
Next week, but So
do you want it before you leave?
No. I mean, if you have it, if you have an idea of what you want to do, but
okay.
I think that would be kind of rushing it to have something for next Tuesday or Wednesday. Do you think? Or maybe not.
Maybe not. Let's.
She's been thinking about it a lot.
Well, it would be very helpful if you sent it to us then before we left.
Okay.
So we
right.
would have time
I will
to
do my
read it.
best.
Well, it's only because it's just nice to absorb it and think about it and have time to have get questions answered and stuff.
Wait a minute.
That's why I asked.
I wish you'd stop. You want to slow down, but you want to go really fast. No, come on.
No, I'm talking about...
Pick a train you want to get on. No, that's figured. The second part is, let's not push it.
No, but if they feel like they can produce it for next week, it's wonderful.
Yeah, but I'd like to make sure before it gets produced that
it would be a draft.
Yeah, and it's circulated with the people they want to see
I said
whether
if they could
it's
do it, Mark.
whether it's applicable or not. Whether if you're going to champion somebody as a
I only meant it
facilitator.
so that we had a chance to look at it. And
I get that.
I've sort of got the draft going for your next meeting, and I have having an executive session to have that conversation.
Very good.
Okay.
The second part about it is, I don't want to put any barriers in the way of the personnel committee, the search committee that's doing the work they're doing. Let them move at the rate that's, if they feel that pressure is being applied to them and they're not going to be able to get a good job, I want to hear back about it, but I don't want to see anybody asking it to be slowed down at this point in time. If we need them to sidebar and deal with our policies and things of that nature, then we'll make that as a conscious decision as to what gives up something and how we're going to proceed with the process. But I want to make sure we stay on track with where we're going. And I want to make sure we pay attention. If it needs to slow down for our review and approval, I have no problem with that. But the thing is, make sure we get notified of where we're going, and I want to make sure we have the input. So, any other observations or concerns?
No, it's just, with the time frame that we're looking at, I would almost suggest that Casey takes over tomorrow with the guidance of Wendy to make sure she's doing it to, what we're going to need. And, it's just...
I don't think it's really an issue, because you guys could work
Well, you
together.
work pretty closely together now,
do
but
now,
there may be some things that you may not be up to speed. Instead of Wendy actually doing it, you do it, and she just does the double check.
Some of that is happening.
That's already happening, but I would.
Just for familiarity's
I
sake.
want to get as much organized, because everything is, and there are new things coming in constantly. I want to get everything organized in a way that when we can transition in a way that'll be useful and not diverted and, focused is
Yes.
the word I'm looking
Yep.
for. So I'll be in this weekend, and I'll have to check out the skating schedule. But then around that, I'll be in.
So we can welcome the Gazette here tonight.
There's really done. There's
I know.
agenda. But I think Matt is here to report on the South County meeting. So.
Yes.
Anything else? Do you have anything?
No, Kathleen, I just want to let you hear, this is, Casey, can you just give this to Kathleen? Tell her that the railroad thing went really well.
I haven't got a chance to talk to her yet.
They agreed to 100% coverage of the site, the asbestos site, exposed area. So it's fine. We're excited about it.
In the rail yard.
Yeah.
The meeting at 6.
The 6 o'clock meeting.
But this is not the place to have that discussion.
No, I just wanted Kathleen.
It's on TV. You've given people a chunk of nothing, and they're all going, asbestos? Oh, my God. If you're going to tell it, give an explanation of what it came from and why, so that people out there in TV land don't go out looking to not drink water because of the scares.
Meeting. Sorry, Mark. We've had continuous meeting. At 6 o'clock, there was the railroad hearing about the cleanup on River Road. And it looks like they're going to cover 100% of the concerned area.
I will give her my documents here.
Yeah.
Well, she just gave her.
I just gave it to her.
She gave her
I will
copies.
give you my
No, sorry. I got plenty.
Thank you. I didn't mean that.
I know, but that
I
was
can imagine
important.
sitting on TV.
That's her story for tomorrow.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I can imagine people see on TV.
I was hoping that Kathleen was going to be here, because it is really good. I mean, the cleanup procedure has been really going good.
That's good to acknowledge it, but we need to put it in context. Matt, you fall under...
New business.
What is it?
Any other business?
Any other business to come before the board. Come on up here, sir. You're the other business. Come and join the nuts.
Come sit.
So that means you're Fatima now.
Now you have to explain that comment
Better
to
eat
us.
some,
Sit in
Mark.
front of a microphone.
Want some nuts?
You haven't had supper.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to love this. They get upset when I tap my pencil. Chewing on nuts is going to go real good for the TV.
Well, if you're going to chew on nuts, get real close.
No.
Yeah, but he hasn't had supper, so I worry about his blood sugar.
Oh, get the microphone real close. It'll be great. First thing I'd like to say is thank you for selecting Casey to stand in as the lovely town administrator until such time as the Personnel Committee has its time to go through what they need to do.
You're in favor of this?
I've had the pleasure of working with Casey for a number of years.
Maybe I should sit back and reconsider now.
Yeah.
That might impact
I got the both of you.
If you decide to reconsider, I will call you what's in that bag and say that you're probably nuts. Casey has been I'll speak for myself and lump a couple of other town department heads in. She's been a great resource to us, helped us out tremendously, has a great working knowledge of what goes on. Wendy does, yes.
No,
you've done a fine job.
she has helped me out tremendously.
Okay. But she's done a tremendous job for us in helping us, especially budget time. Right time there's a question, you can call, and Casey either has the answer or we'll get you the answer. And I think she'll be a great fit until such time as the Personnel Committee can complete its search and we can move forward. So that's my 2 cents, whatever it's worth.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate.
You want to change?
Go for it, boss.
I would, except the federal government's probably taking all the rest of that in taxes anyhow. Was over, we had a meeting tonight with the South County EMS team group.
Short meeting tonight, only an hour and a half?
It was actually shorter than that. Got right down to business and got things done.
Somebody wasn't there, so it was a lot shorter.
No, it was just we had we had met last week, so it was only a week's worth of stuff, so it was about half the length that it normally is with a 2-week span in between. The goal tonight was basically to agree on, Bobby Ahern had discussed at last week's meeting trying to add some additional staffing to what we're doing now to ensure some coverage until such time as we can fully ramp up. So until we have a director in place, the first step that we're going to take, kind of as our crawl stages, is to add on-call personnel. One person during the day shift from 7 to 3, one person from 3 to 11, and then we're going to be looking for 2 people on the overnights.
So this is people that, if there's a tone, will come?
Right.
Okay.
They'll remain at home. They'll be paid a stipend to be available. And then at such time when there's an ambulance call, they'll respond. They'll be paid at the full rate when they respond. Utilizing the resources that we currently have, Deerfield's truck and Sunderland during the day, and then Deerfield on 3 to 11, work it out so that the ambulance will respond to the call. When Waitley's truck shows up and that second person's there, they can transport and go on their way. Same thing with Sunderland. Their truck shows up with somebody and that second person's there. They can transport. If neither one can make a crew or neither one of people show up, Deerfield, as we would normally go mutual aid, will be there with that second person to show up and then transport. Again, it's a crawl before we begin to walk. That's a way to kind of test the waters out a little bit.
Well, it's better coverage.
Right. We are actively, the job has been posted for the director. We've had some applications that have come in. We're going to begin to review those. David will be working, I think, tomorrow to try to get those scanned in, to get those out to the folks who are going to begin the evaluation process. We do have a meeting scheduled for Monday evening at 6 p.m. with the EMTs from all 3 organizations to provide them an update where we're at and what's going on, discuss the staffing model that we're going to be looking at, and then probably complete some paperwork, make sure we've got accurate contact information. Just basically an opportunity to have a face-to-face with everybody to let them know where things stand, what our vision is, where we're going, what's going to happen next, and give them an opportunity to ask any questions that they may have. We did prepare a communication that's been distributed to the EMTs, letting them know where we're at and what's going on. So again, just trying to keep that communication line open to keep everybody updated.
That's going to be at the South Deerfield Fire Station?
Yes, it is. Yes. There was some discussion tonight about coming up with some type of a stipend for David for the additional responsibilities he's taken on with the facilitator's role. And the suggestion was made to try to come up with a figure on how many additional hours he's been putting into that so that there's some type of stipend that we can derive for that piece of it. We talked a little bit about the billing companies. Today, Sunderland and Whately bill through a company called Coastal. Deerfield bills through Comstar. Going in the future, we should probably combine all that. So I think Dave was going to follow up with you as far as what state laws are and do we need to bid it or what do we need to do to make sure we're in compliance with what we need to make that happen.
What's your personal feeling between the difference between, I know Comstar was such an improvement for us.
Yeah, Comstar was a great improvement over BHA. Sunderland and Whately have had great success with Coastal. David, who works for us, also sits on the board for Turner's to oversee their ambulance, and decided to go with Coastal as well. Comstar has done a good job. I know in speaking with Bruce when he did the research for the work for us, the study, he told me that he was able to get more information out of Coastal than he was able to get out of Comstar.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's in the report, actually.
Yes. So I think at the end of the day, it's, what's it going to cost? What do the agencies offer us? If Coastal's got a better package, then we can make that switch.
Do you know if they're on the state contract?
I do not know.
Okay, because if they are, then you can just choose.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll look into that.
They both are.
Okay.
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
No problem.
The other thing we found out today is that BHA ambulance has been sold.
Really?
Yes.
I hadn't heard that at all.
There's the company that bought it is, and again, from what I've been told, I don't have the documents in front of me. It's like a Blue Cross Blue Shield out of Canada that has an ambulance division. There's an operating division, I guess, in the Boston area. The new operations director is a gentleman by the name of Mark Dion, who worked with BHA previously in Springfield. He's been reaching out. David said he got a letter today. He'll forward on to me, and I'll make sure that I get it on to you as well. There's been no discussion about service changes or what's going to happen or how it's all going to play out. What I am happy about is that we've taken the steps that we have to be ready should there be a change in level of service. So that's all good. In speaking with David, we've got all the equipment we need to move to the paramedic level. He's working on, we're waiting for a drug license to come back so that we can go to the pharmacy at the hospital and work on getting the drug piece of it set. And then Phil Boniuto will be in to do his inspection so that we can look at moving to the paramedic level. David is working with some other paramedics who are currently on our roster to get availability so that we can build out a schedule to make sure that we have at least 8 hours a day, 7 days a week of paramedic coverage to meet the state guidelines.
So what are you kind of looking at as a timeline?
I'm hoping at the earliest, I would say probably mid-February.
Okay.
Do you have a contract with Comstar?
We did have an agreement with Comstar.
It may or may not have expired?
I believe it expires in April.
Okay.
From what
And
I've
is this
been
a
told.
decision, if it does, that you would want to allow the new director to make?
It's something yes, we should. I guess it's going to depend on how quickly
Right.
we get up and running. And
Right.
No, that's one that can be made by the Board of Oversight.
yeah, the board will probably have to
I would think the Board
evaluate.
of, I think I would prefer the Board of Oversight with the fiscal agent.
Fiscal agent support to whoever they decide to make that process. Either one's fine, but we need to make sure that the fiscal agent has a say in
Right.
what transpires.
To me, it doesn't matter who the contract's with, because now we have a new entity that would be having a contract. Doesn't matter who Deerfield, Whately, or Sunderland is.
Right. In the past, I did discuss with Mary about going out to bid when we had Comstar. She had a great working relationship with them. She thought the pricing was fair. In she had discussions with other town accountants and town managers at different meetings that they've been at to discuss these things, and she thought that the service we got was great. What we were being charged was fair. The reporting was excellent. Their end of the bookkeeping, she was very happy with. So there was no incentive to go through a bid process or look at it or go anywhere else. Everything was working very well, so we left it status quo. But anything we do moving forward, we'll just definitely discuss with Barbara and her team to make sure that anything Comstar provides us today will be provided by whoever the new building company is. I know when we
You have to be sensitive of the contract
Correct.
expiration dates.
Correct.
It's, we can't be embarking on a new contract in the midst of trying to figure out where we're going.
I understand.
So we need to make sure we keep that in.
Well, that's why I wanted to start getting the information together now, because if we have something that expires in April, it's probably best just to let it run its course and then.
Actually, I think we can get a legal opinion on that, but I don't think you're right.
Excuse me? On what part?
Because it's a new entity?
Because it's a new entity.
You can start.
It's not
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be-
just that there won't be any billing going from Deerfield Rescue to them anymore.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
we
they
just
could, you could still have the contract with Deerfield Rescue, but now South County EMS will have a separate
But that won't,
entity.
that won't be in place as
Until
Yeah.
even with what we're looking at doing, each town will still individually bill for the time being,
Right.
until such time as South County takes over and assumes all the billing. But the thought is, let's start exploring that, getting the data together. To your point, yes, it would be good to have the new director involved in that, but I don't want to hold off, get somebody who starts the second week in March, and, oh, by the way, we need to make a decision on a week in this, so get your butt in gear and get everything done. 'Cause it's just not fair.
Yeah, get all the information together to be ready when
So
the time is right.
if we can do the legwork now and make sure, I mean, and again, Tom Feidenkevitz's suggestion was do a one-year contract with 2 one-year renewals onto it, that we could decide yea or nay on, and this way at least we've got something to get up and going, and then if we want to decide.
Yeah,
further down
David's
the road.
right. We don't have a problem with the fact that once we make a declaration of here's a new process, the issue we haven't really worked out with is how it looks and smells with the town of Deerfield.
Right.
And we need to make sure we keep our options open in that aspect. So
Sure.
I would like to make sure we've got the information, as much information as we can going into it.
Absolutely. And I think, I apologize, let me just take a quick look at my notes. Next meeting is going to be next Wednesday evening, probably 7 p.m. over in Sunderland again. I don't know if I'll be available. I believe you guys aren't meeting next week?
Correct.
I don't know if you're available next Wednesday night. If you could check your schedule and see if,
That's the last night we're available. That's the reason I did it on that night,
okay,
because we're out
you're going
to
to
that.
MMA conference. Okay.
Oh, actually, that brings up, sorry to interrupt you, but completely forgot. Frontier School has that special meeting on Thursday, the 23rd, and I think we should let Marty know that, all the select boards will be at the MMA conference.
I don't know if they all go that early.
Sunderland and Deerfield do,
Sunderland?
And Whately.
and Whately.
The reservations we have are not for Thursday night, though.
Yeah,
Thursday
we
night.
corrected
They
them. I came in and no, Casey.
Here we go.
Casey fixed it. That was one thing that, see, she was right on top of
You're
things.
wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that the book here?
Oh, pardon me? Yeah.
Just circle some
Yes,
names
I
for
did
Mark.
leave actually had Pat leave your packets.
Actually,
your
can I have
annual
your book? I'll circle some
MMA
names.
conference packets that have your confirmations and everything
You
in them.
asked me about that today.
So anyway, I just thought that Marty should know that the select boards aren't coming to
What
this
day is the
meeting.
24th?
24th is Friday.
What does my reservation say?
23rd.
We don't like you.
No, but
24th.
We fixed it.
she fixed it.
She told you
So
twice
I'm
you
not
fixed
wrong.
it. Yeah, you are.
No, see, I didn't print yours up again.
Would you do me a favor? Cancel his because he wants to be right.
This doesn't have what you're looking Can we hand that back to Mark?
So Thursday, we can schedule all the meetings we need to vote on everything we need to while everything's away.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The select boards will be not. So anyway, if
Meet
you
to your
could
heart's
just
content.
let her know that nobody's going to be in town. So maybe they can switch that. This is for the reports of all the standing committees and the budgets and everything, and then there's no select boards. Maybe it was done on purpose. No, I don't think it was done on purpose.
Don't go there.
I know, no, it wasn't done on purpose.
So what else?
That was about, the only other thing I had asked was that if the town administrator in Whately could keep us apprised of the status of that Western Mass Regional Library building, as to whether or not it's been sold, as to whether paperwork has been signed, because should something fall through, I think it's something we should seriously take a look at. Personally, I think it's something we probably should have moved quicker on and pounced on when we had an opportunity, but
Well, it's a huge commitment.
I
Financial
understand,
commitment.
and I agree, but when we look at building
I
a
know.
new building,
I
it's going
know.
to cost way more than what we could have gotten that one for.
Oh, I know, absolutely.
Okay.
And the thing about it is that we would have to get them to agree to both entities going in.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd agree with you if we had a real estate division, because it'd be something really good to rent out, but for the size of that building and to have us not only hold it, we want the bays, we really like the bays, so, but. We will keep it open, and I have a couple of things in mind that we're gonna start as soon as spring shows up, so.
Okay.
We will not leave you in the dust.
Okay.
Maybe.
How are the leases going?
There is some holdup in that. Margaret's away on vacation. The feeling is, and Bill Swayze, the fire chief in South Deerfield, brought up a great point. Bill also works with leases in his regular job. He brought forth a great point that what we should do is try to standardize the lease amongst the two towns in the fire district, so it's the same document. The other thing we should do is standardize what the lease rate is for the bay space versus office space, so that each town is compensated equally. When we looked at what the rate was in Sunderland versus South Deerfield, less space, higher rate. So they wanted to wait till Margaret got back to try to figure out how she got to that number. Could they work with, I guess Bobby Ahern, who's the chief in Sunderland, has been working with Bill Swayze on coming up with a square footage rate, and can Sunderland work with that number so that each entity will get the same lease rate per square foot of space? Because we'll have to take a look at
that?
Whately's Fire Department as well, because they'll have that third ambulance that'll be involved.
And the inventory lists,
The inventory list, basically, since we're keeping all three ambulances,
everything.
all three are going to keep everything that they've got. We will be looking, Deerfield is currently increasing or acquiring what we need to operate our truck at the paramedic level. And then once South County starts, we can look at the purchase of the additional equipment to bring Sunderland and/or Whately's up to.
Well, speaking of that, I checked in on that grant program where we requested a bit of equipment to do some of that.
Right.
They said beginning mid-February.
Okay.
It was supposed to be January, but it's pushed back or
Okay.
up. I never know which is which.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
So you won't be here to celebrate with us when we get
I
it.
know. It's funny because I wrote him. I said, "Oh, I was hoping you'd decide before I left my position." And he wrote back, "When are you leaving?" Then he wrote back, "Well, it might be earlier." So, helps to know people.
Absolutely.
Want to cheer me up. I'll read the newspaper.
So we will take a look at that. I know David has taken a look at Sunderland, so there'll be a little bit of modification that needs to be made to design a cabinet that we can secure, to have the items in there that need to be secured. I believe Whately's truck already has a secured cabinet. Again, David will go take a look at that when he's here. just, again, all the pre-planning to make sure when we've got to turn the key, we've got things in motion to have happen as we need to.
It's the door.
I'm sorry, I was looking for
It's the
something.
door. It's the creaky door.
The question about the inventories, are they completed?
Yeah, I believe each service has got their own inventory.
Because it's required to be part of the MOU
Right.
as a written, unless we remove those, so I want to make sure they are done. It's going to change.
Right.
It's going to be modified. I'm hoping there can be a living document that also gives us some.
Right. I think the initial thought behind that was we were going to pull all the equipment together and then decide what we were going to use on the 2 trucks that we had. But like I said, being all 3 trucks are going to stay in service, everybody's equipment will pretty much stay on their own truck to start. But I agreed, you'll need a list to put into the.
I think the reason that
MOU.
they picked that was a town administrator's bean counting process, that if somebody decides to leave at some point in time, they know what beans they had in the process.
Exactly.
It's not imperative to the operations of the facility, but it is imperative to good housekeeping.
Yes.
So.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you
A pleasure.
coming in and updating us.
Glad to have the opportunity. We'll
I
keep
really
you
do.
posted as we go forward.
Thank you, sir.
Any
And
other
I
questions?
appreciate you holding up all of Deerfield. This wait there. David was there, but we.
He was.
So I got to ask you honestly, did it really go quicker because we weren't there?
It went quicker because it was a week in between and we had a couple of specific
No.
things we needed to discuss.
I wasn't there last week, and it went 4 hours.
It did
And
not.
yet-
It didn't go 4 hours.
It didn't even go close to 4 hours. I got home
think
before I
it
got
went 2.
shot.
I heard it went 4, so I wasn't there, so.
All right. This meeting is not going to go for 4 hours. We had a 5-hour meeting last time.
Okay.
Have a good evening, Fatima.
I shall try.
Thanks, Matt. I really
My
appreciate
If
it.
you had anything.
All right. According to Carolyn, that concludes the things on the agenda. Is there anything else to come before the board that was not anticipated at the time of posting?
I changed the agenda to incorporate it before the
Yeah.
meeting happened, so.
Okay. Did public comment get to be done?
Yep. All throughout the meeting.
Any more announcements?
Keep washing your hands. Flu circulating.
I'm not feeling well. Otherwise, I do have things, and I've been listing things, but next week. I probably won't be in tomorrow. But I have a lot of updates on all kinds of things, and I hope to have a report.
Washing your hands.
I use those wipes.
That's
They're about to ban them all.
I love that. She's sick and you're holding her hand.
Right, and she.
Let's pass
I'm
this
gonna go
along.
home-
Let's,
I'm gonna
let's,
go home and
let's,
wash
you're
my
the
hands.
poster child of
Don't-
this thing, and you just
don't rub
made
your
social
eyes now.
contact. Come on.
No, you're right.
I'm not right.
I
You
promise
were
not to
wrong.
rub my
It
eyes.
has nothing to do with me being right. I had no idea what your document said.
So, he's wanting to.
We're done.
We're done.
A motion, thank
to
you.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Not quite.
Oh,
I got a word for you guys.
He's a cameraman and a
Carolyn.
parliamentarian.
Mark had heard this from me before. I'm one of those people he talks about on TV land. We can't talk back to you, but I'm here to say on behalf of them and myself, how do you do it? I watch you guys week after week. I try to read you. This man, I can't read at all. I hope you're a poker player, Mr. Wolfram. You should play poker. Carolyn, she keeps all these pieces moving down the road somehow, okay? She pulls in everybody's concern. And Mark, my friend from a long time ago, who used to sit here in between 2 huge, loud bullies just to keep them apart. It wasn't the chairman. He had to be between them because... And he didn't get to say nothing at the time, okay? He was learning all the way.
Nothing's changed.
But what's the common denominator? Oh, stop it.
About me getting to speak.
Oh.
They're not bullies. They're not bullies by any stretch of the imagination.
Anyway, these
Stand corrected on that one.
Give me another month.
food to keep you nice.
To keep me shut up.
Everything seems to fit together here so nicely. You each have your own role, you play your part, and that's nice to see. It's special. I've watched other town governments. You've heard me say that. You're a tough read, too, Wendy. I can't figure for nothing where you're going to go until you let us have both barrels.
Their meeting.
And I look forward to Casey, because I know that will be good. You, sir, will tell us what we like to hear, but you'll also tell us what we need to hear, and that's so important. It's not easy to say a lot of the things that you come out with, like no more turnips on the wagon, it's full, okay? And it's true, we keep putting more on there. So you work both sides of the mix.
But that used to be the name of the road you lived on.
I believe him. There was a picture the other day. Somebody was cutting ice on the pond down at the end of our street. But
Turnip Lane.
really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Up on North Hillside. That was in that
wow.
area. Yeah.
I remember when Clila's house was one of the few at the top, and it was a big tree farm. But I came up here to say thank you. I don't know. You don't hear from us people all watching you silently back there and running to the refrigerator and back with third and fourth beer or whatever. Thank you so much. What comes across?
We sound much better after the fourth one.
Yes.
No wonder we sound good.
What common denominator do we see from out there? What do you suppose the word is from each of you, all together, individually, collectively? What do we see from this group?
We have to sum it in one word?
Yeah.
Circus?
Close. You see why that works? The machine wheels grind unless you have humor. And he does that. He
That's
gets
important.
the humor in it.
I think the
But
humor is very important.
the word I see, and the word I'm so appreciative of, is caring. You all care. There's never a moment where you back up sometimes or you pull away a little bit, but you're always there for the right reason. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much.
Not all in the paycheck. Sometimes it would be nice if it would be. But
no, there is some humor in there.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's somebody sitting at this table saying they're here for the money.
Oh, mercy. But I see
What are you going to do if I say it?
Not that over there.
I've watched each of you in your own time, in your own issues, kind of saying, but you're there for the right reasons. Thank you for that.
Well,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
very much for coming in and saying that.
I hope my neighbors agree with me, because I got to go back up the hill. I may get beat up tonight. I don't know.
You hear that, police department?
Happy New Year. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for endorsing Primo's. I know you're going to like that place if you go over, if you haven't already. That young man is on top of everything, and he will work with you.
Yep.
If there's a problem, you'll work with Mr. Ventura.
Well, we certainly are trying to encourage local businesses.
Yeah.
Whatever we can do.
We don't need empty storefronts. They've got a whole bunch up in Greenfield.
I know. No, it's really important.
All right, I have a motion on the table, and I believe it's been seconded to adjourn the meeting with the signing of the warrant. Is that true?
Yep.
Any further discussion?
The warrant over there? Okay, I'd love if you did.
You look like you want to say something. I don't
No.
know. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.